Hey, Roudy, how you doing?
Hi, Hey Gary, good to see you.
Good to see you. I finally get to meet you. Excited to come to Austin?
Yes, I'm really excited actually. And I originally thought to myself, I'm not gonna travel. And I actually blocked all my travels until later in October because I'm working on my lighting innovation and it takes a lot of focus. But when I heard you guys doing this event, I changed my mind. So I'm really excited.
I'm glad you are because you have such a unique perspective on light. Like I've learned so much talking to you about how light regulates the body. I mean, I knew enough, like a lot of things. I knew enough to be functional, but your information has helped me help so many other people. Because like the one thing I didn't realize that everybody wearing the blue blocker glasses, they all had adrenal fatigue for sure after 4 to 6 months. And I'm like, that I didn't catch it was because of the glasses. Now I know it was because of the glasses. And I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. You're blocking off all the light. You're not getting the cortisol you need.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've had couple times where we've connected, and I think every time we've connected at on a certain level, and we're like still kind of like scratching the surface about like the profoundness of light on health. And today I was really doing some. I do study light every day. It's a topic that I can't get enough. Like every morning I wake up at 4:30 a.m. and the first thing I feel like drawn to do is like sit down and study light. And part of me studying light is also like meditating on light because I notice like I get to understand the nature of light a lot more internally than only like kind of digesting information through my senses. And one of the topics I've been lately like diving into is the nature of light because like Albert Einstein shared with us something phenomenal, and it's fascinating to me to see that still in today's world we have not integrated anything from what Albert Einstein taught us about the photoelectric effect and the law of relativity. But basically the E equal mc square, it literally says when light slows down, it turns into matter. And the most profound thing about this is that our body uses this miracle of nature to manufacture all of the neurotransmitters and hormones that control the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, that control our metabolism, control our sleep, which mood we are in, how focused we are. And also like one of the most fascinating part to me is how light interacts with water and with fascia, which connects very well to what you guys are doing, which we could dive a
Well,
little
yeah,
bit into.
we do that on a podcast. I mean, it's one of the things that's changed for me is my when you see me, my fascia, it breathes. So my resting breath rate is like under 3 breaths per minute normally because my whole body slightly respirates. So I need less oxygen for my lungs to go to my tissue. And that means that I also have the same thing with water. When I'm in water, I no longer have to drink water very, very quickly. So that helped me draw the assumption that same thing with light. And you know, I'm a pretty white guy. Um, and I'm the Nordic white, so I'm the guy that literally gets burned after 45 minutes in the sun. But since I've been doing fascial maneuvers and mineralizing my body, I can stay out all day long and I'll get red, but I don't burn. And that's how the light is interacting with the fascia in the body.
Yes, the fascia is the quantum highway that allow us to capture, store, and deliver light to the cells so that we can make use of this light energy to do work. In fact, what Albert Einstein said about the photoelectric effect, he revealed to us that when light shines on metal, it generates an electric current, it generates electricity. And this electricity is used by the body to perform work. Now, if you're hearing this, you're probably saying like, how is that related to me? I'm not a piece of metal. But our bodies are full of metal. We have so many atoms, iron and atoms in the body that are metal based.
Yeah, and
And
the fascia is a crystalline structure. So it's taking the light and it's actually just shining. It's like when you shine a flashlight to your hand, you see it. So that means it's actually generating energy in your body through the metals.
yes, absolutely. So this is almost like, this is what the photoelectric effect is teaching us. Like when we are speaking about plants, we all know that plants are photoelectric. They photosynthesize. And what this means is that they use light energy to create their own foods. However, what most people don't know is we humans are even more photoelectric than plants.
Yeah. I
And
mean, the way that they got us to not believe that.
yes, indeed. I mean, the thing is, you know, the average person in the US is constantly wearing their sunglasses when they go outside. They're putting their sunscreen and they're spending around 12 to 16 hours per day indoors. There has been recent studies showing the average person in the US spend 12 to 16 hours inside, in front, under artificial lights. And this completely dehydrates the water in the fascia. And when the water is dehydrated in the body, it's not because we're not drinking enough. It has nothing to do with how much you're drinking. In fact, when this happens, the body cannot transport and cannot absorb light properly. And this is the reason why, Gary, you're saying that previously you used to experience a lot of burning, whereas now you're able to absorb more light without burning. And I would contribute this to, yes, mineralization is very important. Also, the fascia work that you're doing is absolutely important,
Yeah.
because when your fascia,
Go ahead.
yeah, when your fascia is full of nuts and it's tight and closing in, it loses its elasticity,
Yeah.
and it actually loses its capacity to allow that structured water to flow through the fascia. And it's that water that actually store light information and deliver that light from sunlight into our cells.
I'm going to show everybody because my body, to feel it and palpate it, you can feel the actual layers of fascia moving in my body. Like it's not like, did I feel it or not? It's like, whoa, what was that? Because when the fascia gets dry, it acts like saran wrap. And you take two pieces of saran wrap, you get them together, they don't want to come apart. And the fascial maneuvers is like going, blowing it up and blowing it up and twisting it, which then allows the friction to break up those layers with the hydration. And then flow starts, the collagen starts, all the fluids start flowing. And then that's when we start to synthesize light. Because I thought it was really interesting. One of the things that I noticed last year was, well, no, it started 2 years ago. So I noticed that we were, let's see, 2024, yeah, 2022. We noticed that we were cold insensitive. So the winter came and the water didn't feel cold. I mean, we're in Canada. I mean, arguably everybody's walking around with big parkas on and jackets, and the water didn't feel cold. But what I experienced in the water is it felt like I felt a contact area, and then it felt like it go boom, 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 boom. And then I would feel heat from my core going boom, 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 boom. And I'd feel this wave in my body of basically the cold coming into the core and the body pushing heat back out. And that's when I knew my body had changed, because there was a significant change. And that also is what allowed me to perceive another way of looking at how fascia works. Because I still had the muscle skeletal view of fascia, which I had it all the way up until that point. Up until 2021, I developed a new view, but I couldn't feel it because I hadn't experienced it.
Yes, that's beautifully said. And as you're describing this, I was having the vision of the wave,
Yeah.
which literally is everything that consists our physical reality is in motion. It's a wave.
Yeah.
And wave is the result of interchange of forces of opposite pressures. And so
Yeah.
you mentioned like heat and cold, forces of opposite pressures. You also mentioned when you were talking about the fascia is meant to go through compression expansion cycles.
Right.
And I and I and I do think like
Oh, lost you. Yeah.
yes, I do think that most of today's people in our society, we're stuck in compressive cycles, and we don't allow that expansion to
Because
happen.
it's sticky.
But the
It's sticky because fascia is in, it works in concentric rings around a bone,
yes,
like rings around a tree. So when one layer, the way I perceive it, I can demonstrate. So the way I use it is it works in these ring layers. And if one layer, like let's say one of the middle layers, let's say like let's say like kidney. If your kidney's dehydrated, then you'll have loose fascia on the top still, and you'll have loose bones, but you'll be tight this way. And then, so that means that you don't get the expansion and contraction this way properly. And the fascia is piezoelectric,
yes,
which requires compression. So if you compress fascia or you compress a bone, touch a bone in the body, it gives you electric shock.
yes, and it beautifully ties to what we started talking about, the photoelectric effect. Because over here we're talking about compression expansion, two opposite conditions that allow this continuous expansion contraction to be in motion, and that's what it means to be healthy and alive. When we are stuck on one side of the spectrum, be it compression, we lose force. And why is that? Because compression can only be as powerful as expansion is happening.
Yeah.
And this translates into our in breathing and out breathing.
Yeah.
Our out breathing is dependent on our in breathing, and our in breathing is also dependent on our out breathing. And we can't be on one side of the cycle alone. If we constantly breathe in but we don't breathe out, we can't be alive. So when we are trying to be like tensed all the time, like in martial arts, right? If you tense all the time, you can't generate force. Your capacity to generate force is in parallel to your ability to relax and then tense, and then relax and then tense. And it's like this compression expansion and the piezoelectric effect that you're talking about, which ties very well with light, because photoelectricity, what is photoelectricity? Light shines on us human beings and it generates an electric current. There's an author, his name is Robert Becker. He wrote a book called the Body Electric. And in his book, he describes beautifully how our bodies are designed to use this DC electric current for repair and regeneration. And he actually conducted many studies on animals and on frogs, I do believe. And he showed how the frogs were able to repair their skin and broken bones. And the secret to that repair happening fast was this DC electric current. Now, what do we know about light? Light enters our eyes. We have the AHA, which is an omega-3 in our eyes and in our brain. The main purpose of DHA is to convert light into electricity. And this electricity flies into our hypothalamus in the brain, and it resets our circadian clock. It's literally what tells our body when to do what, and it will determine how well we sleep, how well we digest, how well we can think, and how well our metabolic system is functioning. Now, when we are living an indoor lifestyle under artificial blue light that is completely unbalanced, we are missing on the photoelectric effect. And what happens then is this blue light entering our eyes day and night causes the DHA and the water in our cells to be dehydrated, which makes our fascia really like shrink and become shorter and shorter and shorter and start losing its elasticity, its ability to spring and direct force into a directional way. And that's I believe what makes us able to generate force in one way is like our ability to be elastic,
Yeah.
elastic to the point of releasing that elasticity and generating force.
Yeah, so I agree. Like I was helping James Ennis at the 76ers. I helped him reach 12-foot with the reach with his vertical, right? And the way we did it is we created more elasticity on the landing. And it's as simple as you say. If you can go, if you have more down, you have more up, and that's the whole thing. By the way, I think you might. I think this is really interesting to spend time with you because I have a feeling that you. I'm observing that you know more about fascia and the body than probably anybody that I have talked to. And I mean, because most people that I know it from the clinical side, scientific side, but it's missing the components of light as an example and how minerals transfer light, because that's the major component. We people, they miss the fact that if we put a thermography camera on you, you have lights, meaning that we emit light. As a human being, we emit light, and we just don't see it with our eyes, so we don't think that we do.
Absolutely. And a really good example of that, if you get a pre-hydrated, very lean piece of steak, let's say, and you put it in a microwave for a few minutes, what happens to that steak? It becomes like a piece of leather shoe.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because it loses its structured water or easy water. That makes it elastic and makes it that lean
Yes.
piece of steak. Now, what we don't realize is that in today's world, year after year, we are creating environments for ourselves that look so much like microwave boxes. I recall the days 5 years ago when I used to go with my former partner to her university in Toronto. We used to go inside that room with 100 students under blue light. So blue light is a frequency, right? And when we put a piece of meat in a microwave, we're heating up the water in the meat using microwave frequency. Now, like what we don't realize is in today's world, 5G operates on a microwave frequency.
Yeah.
And when we go inside a room that is lit with artificial blue light and where everyone is carrying their phone with them and their phone is hooked into that microwave frequency of a central Wi-Fi, we are literally putting our bodies in a big microwave. And
yeah, when you meet Justin from EMF Rocks at the event, he's got a whole bunch of studies on that. And this is what I tell people all the time: EMF Rocks and Viva Rays, because it's how your light is balanced and how you convert energy. And one of the things that the other part too is like a 2.4 gigahertz literally dehydrates your fascia.
Yes, absolutely. It does, because this is the exact same frequency that dehydrate that piece of meat in the microwave. If
Yeah.
it does this to the piece of meat in the microwave, how do we expect that it's not doing this to us? And the sad truth is that in those environments, when we go in a room and there's 100 people all hooked up into one Wi-Fi and there's all these harsh blue lights, we're literally like frying every aspect of ourselves. And that's why absolutely it's very important to have the right tools that will allow us to filter out this junk light. Because when you start understanding that we are light beings and that everything in this universe is light that has slowed down, and that our bodies uses this miracle of nature to manufacture all of our neurotransmitters, all of our hormones that control the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act, you get an aha moment and you're like, oh wow, light creates reality. And then you ask yourself, what type of reality is the light that is entering my eyes creating for me? And for me personally, when when I suffered from ADHD, depression, and chronic fatigue, it wasn't so much those labels. It was much more an environment that was completely making me sick. And it wasn't until I went to the farms and I started observing how the farmers up north, the indigenous people, were living in alignment with nature's light and dark cycles. And I started to get a lot more sunlight during the day, and I stopped blocking, I started not being exposed to artificial light at night, that my body like knew exactly what to do. And
Yeah.
I believe like when we put our bodies in the right environment, the body is inherently designed to thrive. It wasn't designed to be unbalanced. It's actually designed, it has all the programs in itself to operate in the way it's designed divinely to operate. But all the imbalance that we create, from artificial lights to disruptive frequencies that we kind of impose on our bodies, is what kind of like lead us to suffer from different problems, sleep issues, inability to repair, and inability to clean ourselves at night.
It's going to be a good podcast that we do, because we're going to stretch it out, have the conversation, because I want people to hear these messages in their entirety. I mean, we've been having clips here and there, but part of what we're going to be doing at the ranch is we're going to be podcasting with everybody and getting the message, everybody's message out. So I really look forward to meeting you, Roudy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad we're going to be able to connect in person.
I'm so glad you decided to come.
Yes.
Break up your work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care.